Hello, it's Thursday, and we are going to be playing with canvases again today. I've decided for the 3 remaining little canvases, because we have 3 of those left, that we're going to do mushrooms, a coral reef, and some flowers. There's almost like a seasonal element to it, or like spring, summer, winter, fall, you know? So let's do coral. Now, I do think that the black from 2 of these might be a little bit too harsh for the background of this particular theme. So I think we're going to paint our last remaining white one blue. Now, don't think that I'm not battling every urge in my body to not stack these up and turn it into like a little diorama scene. But I want these 4 canvases to match. I want them to be able to hang on the wall, kind of like this. Very loose interpretation there. And so that means that I have to keep them the same. So cool as that would be, this is the goal. Here's hoping this paint is opaque. It's not, but I think it'll still work. Okay, I think that's going to work for now. So we'll pop this to one side, and while we wait for it to dry, let's look at some reference images to get a better idea of what we want this project to be. Okay, so it looks like there's a lot of like ceramic artists that have done installations similar to what I'm thinking of today. So I just want to like take a moment and acknowledge some of the really cool stuff that I'm seeing online. Okay, so there's also a lot of like watercolors, metalwork, and other fiber artists. So like this is clearly a really rich point of inspiration. So there is probably going to be some recognizable overlap between what I'm going to be doing today and how this has worked for other people in the past. Now I did look at some actual coral reefs as well, but they brought me right back to trying to build dioramas. We are sticking to 2D today. I may as well call this Can I Crochet Scope Creep. So what I'm working out from these reference images is that where the succulents were kind of a celebration of different shapes and sort of a little bit of color, coral reefs seem to be more about the textures, the tubes, and the spikes and the fronds and the little holes and, you know, all of that sort of thing. I am finding the monochrome examples the most inspiring though, because they really kind of emphasize the differences in these different shapes and textures. So while I don't think that I'm going to go full white on white today or anything like that, I do think I'm going to try and keep myself to a fairly restricted color palette and just kind of focus on making like transformative textures out of the crochet, which could very easily just make this look like a pile of scraps, but we're just going to see how it turns out. Alrighty, so let's sketch out some of the potential coral pieces that we can make, and then we'll use those to create a composition. Okay, so I think I've got some basic shapes. I don't know if we'll use all of them, but we have some of them. And I've traced around the canvas to get the actual size, but first let's just do a little thumbnail. So that's like the little one. I think the starfish might have to move in from the edge a little bit. So okay, there's our starfish. I'm going to put a bunch of tubes in the bottom corner instead of the brain. I'm going to move it in slightly from the edge because it's just big and round and won't hide that edge particularly well. And again, I am just going to be blocking this out in colors. These aren't necessarily the colors I'll be using in the yarn, but it's just more to give me an idea of what is and isn't the same type of plant. So our starfish is a feature and will be the only thing using probably some oranges would be my guess. We have our big spirally brain boy, which I know isn't actually brain coral, in case you were wondering. Let's do like a big swirly ribbon thing. Our holy ball feature. Still gonna just like curl in here, and it'll have like bigger ones in the middle, leading to like some smaller ones on the outside. Oh no, see, that's already a tall one, and then we've got tall here and then low here. So we kind of want a low one here, so maybe we do like stripy cups. Stripy cups. Tubes we'll do in green for now. but we do need some more over here to balance the composition. Holy balls! Now these tubes might be spirally tubes, or they might just be tubey tubes. Just color code the stuff that I'm referring to over here as well. Now these could be the tubes, or these could be the tubes. Options. I hope it's okay that I'm walking you guys through the whole process, because like I understand that not all of it is interesting to everybody, but it's just like, these are the literal steps I would take to make this project. It's just I don't always know how much of it to share on camera. So do let me know if you want more or less of like the planning parts. Okay, so finally, anywhere there's like little gaps, we're just going to fill it in with like little like chainy, feathery, wispy bits. And they might poke out over here. There's probably going to be some here around the starfish. Anywhere there's room. And I'm potentially going to just like take giant pieces of kelp and strew them around as well. But this is the plan. So yeah, that's the plan. So now I guess I got to pick colors. Color theory is not my strong suit. This is going to be harder than it looks because I want to make it this. I want to make it like a rainbow skittle explosion, but I don't think that's going to do me any favors in the long run. I don't know. So I'm just going to rummage around through my yarn and see what I want to do palette wise. So I think that for the starfish. This is nowhere near as refined as my previous palette. Quick interruption here. The pattern notes for the Coral Reef, such that they are, will be available on Patreon, as well as the notes for the succulents from last time. Now, if you're thinking about joining Patreon just for this canvassy project in both forms, please note that these notes are not like a complete guide, but they will give you the basic shapes that I used for you to assemble in whatever form you would like to assemble them in. Okay, just general disclaimer there. Okay, so I've come up with the color palette itself, and I've got a loose idea about what things I think should be what colors, but I have too many colors. But I still think that it's juicy and wonderful and bright and happy. So I guess the monochrome and restricted color palette's gone out the window, but I'm going to roll with it. I'm just going to pretend that this was the plan all along. Why am I cramming myself into frame? Why do I always do this? So we're just going to pretend that this was the plan all along. So I think the piece that I'm going to start with is this starfish. So it's quite a prominent piece on the page, and we're going to approach it by making 5 separate legs, starting from the tip and working inwards till we reach about this point here. And then we'll join them all in the round, and it should just come out looking like one cohesive starfish. So we're going to use our... my tower of colour is going to fall over. We're going to be using this colour, I think, for the main base of it, and then this colour here to add all of like the little spiky spotty details. I think that's the correct way to do it. I don't really want to lay a dark base down and then do light color details. I think light and then dark is the way to go. So we're going to start with our starfish. Feel free to name him in the comments, by the way. I'm trying not to think of him as too creaturey at the moment, but he is a little creature, so you can name him if you want. I know I need to do the center of the starfish, but I think I'm going to swap and do some of this thing next. Maybe blue? Maybe some combination of these ones? The real trick to these ones here is going to be working in the back loops and leaving the front loops free to add that spiral at the end. Little brain spiral, and I do want to take some of the things that I learned from doing the succulent piece, so I'm going to take this little spiral and just see if I can't flare it out and make one of them into like a base piece that I can then attach the other smaller spirals to. So she can be taught, folks. So with our brain piece done and looking kind of cool, honestly, I think next we are going to move on to our main little, like, I don't know, mollusks, the little circle ones that we're going to do a big swoosh through the middle. Now I might extend this swoosh all the way down. So I've stopped and kind of done this color map thing, which is like loosely helping me with the colors of yarn, because I have so many wonderful juicy colors here. You want to see? Look at that. Isn't that tasty? So many juicy colors that I want to put everywhere, but I also need to kind of give it some semblance of balance. So yeah, at this point, in case it hasn't been said before, the notion of a limited color palette is out the window. Okay, so for these, they're really basically just balls with holes in the top. So my plan is to make that hole using like a magic ring, but like a big magic ring, not like a size 6, if that makes sense. Because at 6, they close together, but 15, I don't know. We'll find out. However many we need to do, they should leave a gap in the top, which will work very nicely for this. That's 4, 5. Now I'm gonna do some tricksy business with the colors as well, just to save me some stitching later. Let's incorporate a little yellow, and bear with me here, I want to try a new technique. So it's gonna start with me just like single crocheting around in my color here. That's 14 and 15. I'm going to change back to the orange because I can. And this is the thing I want to try here. So like obviously this is a very abrupt color change, but what if I just have a little bit of it peeking through by working spike stitches into every single stitch? And doing that the whole way around. See? I actually really like that. So we've got just that little bit of the yellow peeking through. We have the opening, which will sit on the top. And now we just like round out like a little ball underneath. And we'll just already have a little bit of yellow detailing around the top. Yeah, I think that's going to work. So I'm going to make a bunch of these, I think, in orange with the pale yellow sticking through. And then I'm also thinking sunshine yellow with a little bit of the pale yellow sticking through. And then maybe some really little ones that are just pale yellow so that we feel like we're capturing like the whole life cycle. So I'm going to do a bunch of these until I get bored, and then we'll swap and do a different shape. Because like as with the succulents, the trick here is to not let myself get too bored with doing any one shape too much. Yeah. I promise I will eventually come back and finish the starfish. Alright, so we've made 4. I made it through 4. I made 4 of them, but they're in different colours. They're like, hang on, there we go. 3 kind of colour combos there, which I think will look nice all clustered together. Don't get me wrong, I feel like I'm going to make a whole lot more of those. But now I need a little break, and so we are going to stop and we're going to change gears and work on those ribbons, which gives me the opportunity to make them like, I think they're called hyperbolic superspheres or pseudospheres, hyperbolic somethings, hyperbolic pseudospheres. So basically that just means we're going to create a strip, and then we're going to increase and increase and increase and increase. And by cramming so many stitches into such a tight little space, you guys will see. Hang on, it's like a magic trick. So yeah, that's what that looks like. So the base, if you unsquiggle it a little bit, you can see where we made the baseline there, and then loading all those increases in makes it all like wibbly wobbly, so we can sew it on all curled over, or we can sew it on in a long ruffly line if we want. We can layer up a few layers, just fold it in half, and it gives you extra texture. Might make a slightly longer one. This one here's a little on the short side, even though this one here is, what, 144 stitches per row at this point? Yeah, so probably not too much longer, but yeah, they will just fill in some of the gaps at the top and the bottom of this canvas. So I'm going to make another one of these straight away. So a hyperbolic pseudosphere is when you start with like a base piece. It doesn't have to be a very big one. And in this case, I'm going to be making maybe 3 rows of single crochet. And then for this particular one, I'm going to load an increase into every single stitch, and I'm going to do that over 3 separate rows. So that is going to literally double the number of stitches crammed into the same amount of area each row, and it's going to give us this wonderful wibbly wobbly texture.
There it is.
Okay, so there is our big one done. It is 240 stitches in the last row. So you can see there that like changing the colours has given it just a little bit of something, a little something. And that's going to fill the bottom area there and a little bit of this top area here. The starfish will go here. It is all coming together. So let's do some discs now, and there's nothing going to be particularly special about them, I don't think. Yeah, they're gonna be discs. Okay, colors for the discs. Let's do them in. Right, I'm thinking I'm gonna have them be in blue, which may make this seem very overwhelmingly blue, but there is going to be a lot more of this orange and yellow swooshed, and then I do still have tubes that will probably be in one of the yellow colors as well. So I think we're okay still to work in the blue, and then I think I'll do the detailing on them purple. So I think these are what my discs are going to look like. Did I say nothing special about the discs? Well. So if you look at them, they've got exposed loops around the edge, and I really don't like that. I don't like it. I try to avoid it where I can. So I think I'm going to do something called, at least I think it's called a twisted single crochet. Let me know if there's a different name for it. I'm going to do that around the edge, and that's going to just like cover up those nasty exposed loops. So what I mean by that is, ready? Watch this. Here we go. So what we do, insert our hook, yarn over and pull up a loop. Then we just like twist the whole hook around and yarn over and pull through those loops. And it completely obscures, instead of having loops on top, you end up with this little twist instead. Basically, I'm going to do that the whole way around the edge of this. I think it's just going to help it look a little bit more finished. Then we'll stitch some details on. You're on my scissors. Make them in a couple of different sizes. We've got brains and balls, and we have most of a starfish, and we have some ribbony things that kind of look like sea cucumbers. And we've got our discs. So the last thing we are missing are our tubes, and I believe that they need to be pale yellow to really tie this together. So let's just lay everything out, see how it all looks. And the canvas is dried in the meantime. That's how long we've been doing this. So the tubes are going to be a really necessary element here, and the further I get into it, the more I see that, because I've accidentally designed this very much one level. See how everything's kind of working out to be the same height? Well, I was really hoping to get a little bit more height variation with it, but if I make the tubes about the height of the starfish legs, or higher, I can have them sticking out and giving us some really like tall moments. I need to finish the starfish. That's what this comes down to. It's time to finish the starfish, which is just a matter of making a little like 5-sided shape that goes in the middle and then attaching the legs in the round. It's gonna take no time at all, and I need to just do the starfish. We're gonna finish off our starfish. We're going to pound out a bunch more of the little balls, barnacles, mollusks, I don't know what to call them, these things, in various heights and colours. And we're going to finish our starfish and work on some tubes, and then just like fill in any gaps with anything else I can think of to fill the gaps in with. So yeah, we're just going to make a bunch of pieces now.
That's creepy.
So every time I block these pieces, they come out looking a little bit different. I hope that's not going to be a problem. I think the starfish needs to pop a little bit more, so I'm going to make a little cushion. If he's going to be a star, he's going to need a stage. I'm kind of stuck here because I don't want to introduce any more colours to my restricted colour palette, but I also really want to use like this sandy colour here. I think if I incorporate some of it into the yellow tubes, I'm going to get away with it.
I don't know if that really makes a difference, but we're going to go with it anyway.
Now, I just intended to do a single line of spots down each leg, but the more I added, the more I liked it, so I let myself get caught up in the tide, so to speak. I was in too deep to stop now. I'll stop. You get my drift. Ha! Now I've really stopped. Wave goodbye to this joke. Okay, so we have so many pieces. The time has come to assemble. So I think we're going to start by just assembling as many pieces together as we can into like blocks of pieces so that we don't have to punch quite as many holes in the canvas. We can just attach many pieces at the same time. So I think that's step one. I think that's it. I think that those two pieces are the only two that we're going to be able to really like pre-join. These other pieces I think just are going to need to be attached as we go. So I guess I have to start sewing. I'm a bit nervous about starting to sew because it always feels so final. Same thing happened last time. It's just like, what if I don't attach them in the right order? But then everything's fine because if you don't attach them in the right order, you go back and you stuff them down the side and it's fine. It's always fine. It's fine. I think I'm going to start by sewing these two pieces in place. And a trick I worked out last time is using a pin or a needle, like this is just a regular needle, to poke holes in the canvas. Instead of like, you can't really pin the piece to the canvas, but if you line up where you want it to be, yeah, so then you just take your needle and you stab the canvas at regular intervals. Hold on. And you might be able to see those holes, but you can definitely see them from the back maybe. See that? You end up with a bunch of holes where you want to actually attach the piece, and so that helps with spacing, and it helps me when I'm stitching it on. I can like just trace the needle over the back and find where the little opening is that we've pre-punched. So that's something that I picked up last time. I don't think I really talked about it, but it is definitely something that I started doing. And I'm going to keep doing it this time. The trouble with both of these pieces is that they're open bottomed. So I'm going to have to try and stuff which means I have to sew it down a little bit more better, just a little bit better. So what you can see here is that I sewed the first part down and then I realized that the wooden frame of the canvas was going to get in the way, and so I started anchoring it around the back of the canvas, and it looks a little bit messy, but what those lines are actually going to do, I hope anyway, I'm recording this as I do it. So it's going to fully attach this piece to the canvas, but then it's also going to give me something to attach any of the peripheral pieces to, because I can't quite insert my needle under the canvas that's stretched over the wood properly. I'm just giving this solution a go. I mean, there's always glue, right? Now, for stuffing, I didn't want to use polyfill just because I wasn't able to stitch every single stitch down for fear of tearing the canvas. So what I'm doing instead is using yarn scraps, because I always have plenty of those around. If you're anything like me, you probably do as well. And they are unlikely to try and like worm their way out. And if they do, they're just going to look like a feature, not a bug. Ooh, don't worry, we still have plenty of stuffing left for the brain. Next, I think I'm going to try and attach as many of these little holy balls together as I can, just because it'll be way easier just to tack them down rather than to sew each individual one on. That makes kind of a cool solid piece. Like, I feel like there is an application there to have a cute little like barnacle couch cushion. They're kind of holy and fun. So yeah, that's those all attached together, and now I'm just being a little bit more critical about the rest of the pieces, because if I could attach these together as one piece, then I'm maybe I'm missing a trick here with some of the others. Like these little discs, if I could work out what configuration I wanted them to be, could possibly be pre-assembled too. I think I might have just given up too quickly. Maybe they can climb up the little sand castle a little bit. Oh, we've already attached the sand pile to the thing because we gave up too quickly. I didn't trust the process. And you always trust the process. So I've attached pretty much all of my pieces at this point. Don't get me wrong, there's a few that are still loose, but I'm still seeing gaps. Turns out that once they're fastened down, they take up less room. So I guess I gotta make some more pieces. I already made another holy ball and just chucked that in behind the yellow spikies, but I think I've attached some of these yellow spikies upside down, but that's fine. I need to make some more pieces. So they should be relatively easy pieces that'll whip up really fast. So we're going to do that now. And there is our finished reef. genuinely had so much fun making this one here as well. I think I went overboard a little bit with the details and I could have pulled back a bit, but sometimes it's just nice to let yourself get carried away with a project, you know? There it is next to the succulent one. So the succulent one kind of represents winter, and this one here is summer. And as you can see from the backs, I have definitely gotten neater. I have gotten better, guys. There has been marked improvement between the two. Yay me. So that's the first two of the series. I'm hoping to like polish off the other two relatively quickly. So I'm going to do like a giant like macro lens type flower on one of them. Like you would have seen my plan at the start. But anyway, if you're interested in seeing the other two, let me know in the comment section. But otherwise, I will see you next week. Okay, bye. Oh, well, that's handy, isn't it? These markers are so much juicier than the ones I used last time. Huzzah! He has sunglasses because he's a cool turtle. He joined the Squirtle Squad. Hello, it's the... Ow. It's not but. I don't like it. It means that I can't create little corner dioramas, and I absolutely cannot flip them over to give myself a little bit of depth to play with, even though I would really like to do that, because when I tell you I've got ideas, I've got them. But no, we're focusing. We're not. Everything's got like little holes in it, so my apologies to the, what was it, the phobes out there. If you don't like tiny holes, this might not be the episode for you. Ta-da.
Excuse you, sir. You're okay. There you go.
You want to stay focused for me, buddy? There we go.
Ow.
Alright, okay. Oh, I forgot to put my earrings back in. The continuity, guys, it's shot. They're really cute too. See what I see? They're little owls. They're my hooters. I believe anything called love. Nope. Finish that off. Oh, slowing down. A couple of tubes up there, and I guess we still have those anemone. Sorry, Torty. Is it even a complicated knots video if I'm not apologizing to the tortoise at some point? So I'm kind of stuck here because I don't want to introduce any more colors, but I took the color away already. My desk is such a happy place right now.